Hey guys, it's Glenn here from Jazz Piano Lessons Online, and today we're looking at Keith Jarrett. How do you play like Keith Jarrett? He's one of my most favourite players, composers. Yeah, he can do everything. He can play classical, he can play in jazz, whatever kind of situation, whatever combo. His trio stuff is amazing. His solo piano concerts were revolutionary. They were totally improvised. Cohen concert is one of my most favourite things in the entire world. I recommend that to you highly. All right, so you're here because you want to hear a bit more of Keith Jarrett, how to play a little bit more like him. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see what we can do. I might just play a little bit of him playing. All right, guys, we're going to have a quick listen to Keith himself playing this very transcription. All right, so let's have a listen to it. Just beautiful touch. Just first thing that I noticed there, just absolutely beautiful touch. Sorry if I keep stopping it. I mean, you can go watch this for yourself, right? At some point in time, okay? Beautiful touch. It's quite noisy. So some of the things we're going to be talking about is the touch, the choice of notes, the choice of the voicings that he's using, how he gets such clarity of notes, the clarity of the melody coming out. Can we just have a listen to that, how many notes he's playing? But it's really just the melody that really stands out to you, right? Does that make sense? Oh, listen to it. Da, da. Just the way that was played. Let's just go back just a second. Hear that again. Just stunning, right? I know it's simple, right? I know it's simple in terms of technique-wise to play those notes. That's not that hard, but to play it and make it sound like that, yes, it is hard. It's all about technique. I mean, it's proving you don't need to play a lot of notes to sound amazing, right? Or even to prove that you're a great player. Hear that build up? He didn't just go da 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 da. There was a slightest of crescendos and coming back down, like every note mattered, right? These are beautiful harmonies that he's picked going through there. Guys, just absolutely stunning playing. Of course, let's look at the notation. What's going on? Here it is. My computer's running a little bit slow, so it might just take a few seconds to come up. There it is. All right, so here's the actual notes. The transcription, I will put a link below for you so you can go get this yourself and have a play of it and just enjoy playing through it. I really enjoyed kind of having a bit of a sight read through it and having a go. I'm going to play a little bit of it. Please forgive me. I'm not Keith Jarrett, of course, and I am sight reading. I haven't practiced this, but it is. We will talk about it and kind of get some thoughts on it as we go. All right, his touch just stunning. Obviously, his technique is amazing, and I've read Keith Jarrett's autobiography, and he does talk a lot about letting the music really play. Himself, rather than him kind of making the music kind of makes itself and all that kind of stuff, right? So there is a very very strong connection that Keith Jarrett has to the piano. Hence, sometimes the singing that sometimes people might not enjoy. He's obviously very into the music. I don't think he's pretending with his body movements or anything like that, like maybe some people are trying to perform. I don't think he's doing that. I think it's the music actually affecting him. And I know that happens to me to some extent, nowhere near to the kind of extent that Keith, is physically contorted sometimes by the sounds that he is hearing coming through, right, as he's making music. Okay, let's get into it anyway. Right? So we've got, I really like this start here. I really like it. You know, it's just a 9. You know, it's really just F and G, all right? And then it kind of fills up. It's like this really big space. I'm going to use this more often where you use, you know, such a big interval and then kind of fill it in. Does that make sense? That's like, so it's that, so, all right, so. Then we go up to this D minor chord. He does the same thing where he uses a 9th in the left hand, okay? So, and he's got this really nice spread out voicing here, F, C, F at the top. And then he fills it in. Now, keep in mind, he's making that melody shine through without the left hand coming through too much, right? So there's a real balance situation. You've got to really kind of get that to come out. Think like you would sing those notes. Don't just play F, F, okay? Play F, kind of sing into it. All right, it will actually make a difference. So almost, I don't mean you physically have to sing it, but da. You want to link it. Da, da. I'm not a singer, right? So you've got to forgive me here, right? So anyway, let's have a look at that again, right? So, right, there it is there. Here's that D minor chord. And we've got a 10th here. I don't play a lot of 10ths because I've got, you can kind of see, I have to kind of go right to the edge of the piano. That's why you're not seeing it really that much. I don't play a lot of 10ths because I've got small hands, right? So, and it's uncomfortable. And I can do it, but I'm right on the edge of the piano, right? So he's doing a 10th there. You could do it like that as well. I mean, another way to do it. It's still a 10th in the, but see how sometimes it's a great way to play 2 notes with your thumb. All right, so that's legit. I do that a little bit. You know, if I'm struggling getting the reach. Okay, so he's got this kind of sound. And that's what he played, right? But you could play and then bring in the other one as well. It's all like he's doing the same sort of thing. Those kind of notes matter there, and he's filling it in. And he really brings that out. There's another 9 here, but he adds in the 13. So this is a C7 now, right? And then we've got this beautiful kind of F sus chord. And then, I mean, it was kind of happening while the clapping was happening, so you didn't hear it as well there. Now here's that 9 again, B flat to C, okay, B flat to C. So you've only got F and D in the, so I would kind of do a voicing like that, just makes it so much easier. Now, here's a sharp 11 with the chord. Now, what's really interesting here, I mean, what is it that we're learning from Keith Jarrett? That's kind of what we're doing. I mean, I can just say, oh, here's a voicing, here's a voicing, here's a voicing, but I'm trying to kind of think about some of the things that we can learn from Keith Jarrett and we can employ in our own playing, right, at some point in time. Think about how he has gone from these really spacious voicings with, particularly in the left hand, you know, often 9th, we have the C chord has the C7 chord there, has a 7th there, okay, but until then we've had 9ths or 10ths in the left hand, all right, and mostly it's been quite sparse with, you know, intervals of 4ths and 5ths and greater. Here we see he sort of changes tack a little bit. Right, we've got a 4th chord there. You know, it kind of reminds me of the so what chords to some degree. Just for a second, right? But also it's a quartal there, you know. It's a sus chord, of course. Then there's the release of that sus, right? Then we're going into, here, what I'm trying to say here, there's kind of a more of a cluster of notes. Right, cluster of notes. Like the voicing has gone from really wide, you know, like that kind of voicing to, right? So that's really pretty, right? So the change is really pretty. Every time you write music, and improvising is writing music, not just playing music, what somebody else has written for you, you have to think about kind of the unity and contrast kind of ideas. You know, on one extreme you've got unity like techno, right? You know, nursery rhymes are really easy to understand, simple. You can grab it in a few seconds. You know what's going on. The other extreme is atonal music. You know, serialism to the absolute extreme, and you never know what's going on, right? But we want something of interest. That's something new, okay? But we need to kind of have something that holds it all together, right? And he holds it together with a consistency of the voicings that he uses. And that's encouraging for me. Hopefully it's encouraging for you. You don't have to learn 50,000 voicings in order to sound good, because as we go through this, you'll notice he actually uses the same voicings quite a few times. But what I want to say too, also, that he's using these different styles of voicing. He's gone from wide voicing to this cluster here, right? So it's giving variety. That's what I'm trying to say here, right? So now we've got some. I'm going to go from the B flat add 9 chord. Okay, so. Right, beautiful, right? Back to that kind of other voicing. All right, here's. I love that. And that's kind of like just a little melody that's leading into the next phrase, okay? Just stunning. But again, that's that same voicing that we did a little bit earlier. Where is it here? Let me see if I can find it. So we had, there it is there, that F, B flat, E flat. It's here as well, F, B flat, and E flat. Notice here that the right hand actually goes below. There, so that's okay. You can do that, right? All right, you can. The hands can cross. Okay, there's no problem with doing that. Why would you do that? Why would you cross hands and not just play the notes? You know, in all, like, so we've got F, B flat, E flat left hand, right? Then right hand D. Why wouldn't you play the D and then may as well play the E flat in the, right? Is that not the same thing? Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, obviously it's the same notes, right? But when we're talking about voicings, when we're talking about melodies, counter melodies, you know, chords and accompaniment side of things to the, you know, we're talking about different voices. No, I don't mean voicings like, you know, how you're going to do your chords, but voices is kind of like thinking about, you know, what if think a choir, for example. If you were to play certain chords together, you would have to get the different choir members to sing different parts, right? And each individual voice sounds a little bit different. So if you were, you know, you could just say, okay, well, every time the second highest note is always going to be for the alto, the highest note's always going to be for the soprano. You know, the third, you know, highest note is always going to be for the tenor. But sometimes you actually want the tenor to go over the top of the alto and cross over, you know. So this is kind of what's happening, right? He's seeing these notes as different voicings, and hence the guy who put this transcription together, you know, has done a really good job of actually kind of pointing out to us that there are different voicings here. We've got this voicing of that B flat and D and going to the A and the C, right? You've also got that as kind of one voicing, right? And then you've got the, all right? It's not just a bunch of notes put together. All right, so that's kind of what's happening, all right? So let's move on and see what's coming next. Notice here, there's no seventh. There's no seventh. Sometimes it's nice just to have no seventh. You might have noticed before already, there's actually quite a lot of nines without sevens, right? And that's something I do quite a lot actually, where you can add some color, a little bit of tension. Right, that's not what Keith Jarrett wrote in this particular, but I'm just saying kind of, right, that's just a straight B flat chord, right? All right, beautiful, right? So he just uses a straight B flat chord, which is, again, it's one of those contrast things, you know, he goes from these complex chords to just simple harmony that sounds beautiful. If you're always just playing B flat, E flat, you know, you're writing a pop song. But if you're going from, you know, B flat, just a normal triad, and then you're going to the E flat 9 sus is the next chord. You go from this really kind of easy to understand chord, but still beautiful, then this that chord just stands out. One, it stands out because it's in the fourths, but it's also now a 9 sus chord. And then he releases the tension, right? And here comes the next note. Here's the A minor 7, but he's got a flat 13, which just sounds stunning. Particularly in this key, it kind of works, right? Another fourth type of chord there. You know, like he's using a lot of fourths there. All right, now this is a really interesting chord, or a choice of chord here. All right, there's a lot of tension in there. Now, if you just play that on your own, it kind of feels like a C minor chord over the top of a D flat, right? Actually, I really like it. You could also think of it kind of like maybe an A7 kind of sharp 9 chord, or an E flat 13 kind of chord as well. Yeah, that kind of works really nicely, I think. But so I think that's why for our ear it doesn't sound too bad in context, right? If you just played that, it doesn't really work, but in context it works. I'm going to go back to the A minor 7, all right, in the second bar. There's the tension release. And beautiful counter melody. Now remember, I talked a little bit about that. All right, we don't want to just go, you know, it's got to come from the soul, right? It's got to come from the soul for this to work, right? So it's harder for me to do it as I'm just kind of teaching it, right, rather than being fully in the moment. But there's that beautiful counter melody. Oh, I wish I could do it more justice, but isn't that beautiful, right? All right, now check out this particular voicing here. Very low, so don't hit that hard. If you're going to do some voicings low, and particularly when the voicings are close together, you usually don't want to play too low, right? Now, depending on the piano that you're on too, that does make a difference. The better the piano, the lower you can play, and it's going to sound okay. But you notice here, it's got, if you play that too loud, that's just not going to work. You've just got to be really gentle and bring out that melody, right? And it sounds stunning still. All right, so last bar. Right, you can almost not hear those notes, you know, when I'm playing them right there. Okay, so that's working, you know, quite nicely. Just anyway, it's encouragement to you that you can actually play lower voicings than probably you'd think of. You know, when you're just playing 2, 5, 1, you know, you kind of know, all right, that's too low. All right, getting too low at a certain point, right? But if you're playing it in a different way, you know, I'll go try a bit lower. I don't think it was a great example. My apologies there, guys. Let's move on. All right, Keith did better. All right, so bring bring that melody. Same kind of voicing, right? There's the nines back, right? Okay, what do we got there? That he's got that 10th again. The same chord here. And again, we've got that voicing that, but he's built on top of it this time. Oh, so nice. I don't mean my playing, I mean the notes that Keith picked, all right? Here, so we've got, I actually just played it in, I played that C in my right hand instead of in the left hand as Keith did, just to kind of have a talk before, you know. But it's just two notes, right? And then the rest is filled out. What do we got? An E flat. It's just kind of root position with a little bit of extra. I love here how things are kind of moving in the middle. And that's similar to what we did before, but a little bit different. Here he's got a bit of a crossover. Again, it's really about the voicings. All right, so, and then it goes into the bridge part, right? But let's just go back here just really briefly here. We have a whole bunch of moving harmony within there, right? Just, which is really, really nice. He could have gone to a G chord here, but he's gone with a D sus, you know, he's gone from 9 to flat 9, you know, he went from D minor to D7 and flat 9, so he's just really mucking around with the D chord. So have a listen to it. Really nice, isn't it? Really, really nice. Now, notice it's the sort of the same chord that was done before, that chord we talked about, that D flat minor 7 with a 9 there. All right, but there's just some slight differences. Which means we kind of hear something new, but kind of the same, right? It's all about keeping us interested, but letting us know that we've kind of been here before, right? You know, there's something nice when it's familiar, and that's really what the greatest composers and jazz players do. They take a theme and develop it, right? So it's the same thing tweaked over and over again. So otherwise, it's just, you know, 15 different songs in one go. We don't want 15 different songs in one go. We want to hear one song, one kind of style, and we want to hear that being developed, because later on we want to hear another song, right? Okay, we got a lifetime of listening to different songs, right? A lifetime of listening to a whole bunch of different stuff. We don't want to hear it all in one go, because it doesn't make sense, and two, you know, again, we got a lifetime of being able to listen to beautiful music, right? So don't try and get everything done in one go. You know, every time you play one song, you don't have to do everything in one go. All right. So here we go. We got our the bridge here. Just really simple, but beautifully played it was, in my opinion. Anyway, he's got a little pause. Not as big a pause as I just did, because I was reading. All right, really kind of bring that out as much as you can. Now here's a kind of a cluster. I love playing G minor 9 like this, or G minor 7, really. You know, it's a G minor. I love that sound. I sometimes play B flat major 7 like that, which is pretty much the same thing. Change to bass clef here. Just a really nice way to get from that G minor to C, right? Basically just a, you know, 2-5 heading into F, and he's put C on the bottom there. So we've got kind of a pedal point going on, but you've got this B, pretty bass note going around the cycle of fourths there. But he starts off with that, you know, that C that goes down. Oh, it's a stretch for me. Lovely voicing, different, right? Especially once it's resolved. What have we got there? ABC. That's so nice, isn't it? So nice. AB, just like 3 notes ABC together. Don't want to smash that out. You can't just kind of whack it, right? You've got to let the other notes kind of work. Same, sometimes you don't want that necessarily to be exposed, you know, like that, you know. Maybe you do, you know, but I don't know, sometimes, you know, it sounds kind of nice. Sometimes you can kind of do that and add something around it, you know, so you can kind of go, maybe something like this. Where it fits maybe a little bit better. Anyway, here's what Keith did. Some spacious chords there. All right, hopefully that is helpful for you. I'm going to do another tutorial on some of Keith Jarrett's stuff in the future, so subscribe if you're interested in a bit more of that. Also, I'm going to do a whole bunch of other piano players as well. All right, some of the favourites, Oscar Peterson, Herbie Hancock, Bill Evans, Bud Powell for a bit of bebop stuff, and a whole bunch, Chick Corea and a whole bunch of other stuff. Right? We're just going to kind of have a look at what they do and see if we can learn something. Maybe just 1 or 2 things from each one of those that we can put into our playing. You don't want to learn everything that those piano players do. If you do, you start sounding like them, and then you're a copy of the original. Right? You want to be you want to be original. So I encourage you to grab a couple of things from your favourite piano players and then kind of make them your own and kind of mix it with all the other things that are favourite of other piano players. You kind of put it all together anyway. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Anyway, good to meet you. If this is our first time, you might want to like or you might want to subscribe. If you like for me, it does actually help the YouTube algorithms for me and lets people know that these are half decent videos. All right, all the best guys, and I'll see you real soon.